eastbound I-10 right near 35th Avenue. We also have a crash 59th Avenue just south of the Loop 101 up in the North Valley. That is the Agua Fria Freeway. And a crash at 23rd Avenue and Bethany Home Road. Traffic is brought to you by the Beatitudes campus. It is 5 o'clock. Do you know where your parents are? They could be dining and mingling with new friends at the Beatitudes campus. You can learn more at beatitudescampus.org. John Roller, KTAR News.
Clear skies tonight, low temp around 67, 100 tomorrow. Yep, we've reached the triple digits, 102 Friday and 101 on Saturday. In Buckeye, it's 96 right now. Weather brought to you by Howard Air and Plumbing. For the replace or repair, call Howard Air and Plumbing. I'm Becky Lynn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos presents The War Room. A political symposium cutting through the noise from the Arizona State Capitol to Washington, D.C. The War Room starts now.
And welcome to the War Room. On a Wednesday, we do the War Room every Wednesday at 5:05. Let's get to our panel. Let's talk about the breaking story that the whole world is talking about. Dun, dun, dun. We've got Democratic strategist Tony Cani back in the chair. Good to see you, Tony.
Happy to be here.
There he is, Jay Feely, former Arizona Cardinals kicker, Trump supporter. Jay, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm going to ask you.
Always good.
I'm going to ask you about running for.
I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
right.
It's starting to sneak out.
I will say, whether it's the Democrat side or the Republican side, we need people who want to get into office who don't want to do it for their own personal gain. You know, and that's why I would want to get in.
Maybe Andy Big Seed.
We'll see.
We're going to talk about that later. I'm really going to grill you.
And you won't get very far.
You haven't been grilled by me.
Yeah, God.
We also have Arizona GOP Chair Gina Swoboda. Great to see you again. Thanks for coming back into the War Room.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Let's start with the big story. We had a mess on Wall Street for several days since the tariffs were imposed by President Trump. Today, he hit the pause button. You saw how the markets reacted, up almost 3,000 points. One of the biggest days we've ever seen in the stock market after several awful days. Question, was this the plan? Or did Trump look around and did he say, my goodness, I've got to pivot. I've got to wave the white flag and retreat here.
All right, I'll start because I listened to Bruce on the way in and say all those things that Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
No,
he
has
doesn't know
no
the
idea.
difference between tariffs and taxes.
He doesn't.
He's an idiot. He
Yes.
has no point.
Agreed.
All that is complete garbage.
No, it's factual, but keep going.
I've been with him. I've been with him myself.
Air the beginning of that
Many,
quote, not the
many
end.
different times.
Is
I
he
know
a
how
moron
smart
around
he
you,
really
too?
is. Not at all.
Oh, well, that
in
makes
fact,
sense. So he's
I was down in West Palm a week ago. I heard from a couple different people. This is exactly what was going to happen. That the tariffs were going to get paused.
Did you buy stocks this morning?
So here's the question. If we're going to have a real rational discussion about it and give your viewers and listeners something to actually chew on, there's two things Trump could have done when he got elected. He could have taken the easy road and just said, you know what? I'm going to get rid of the massive regulations from the Biden administration. We're going to extend tax cuts. We're going to unlock energy that's going to reduce inflation. That was the easy road. And he probably would have guaranteed that the Republicans hold the House and the Senate in 2026 and cruise through 4 years and would have done nothing about the two looming economic bombshells that we have with $36 trillion in debt and $23 trillion in net losses of investment into our country versus out of our country, and not touched it. And that's what's happened for 20 years. And, you know, I heard you talk, Gaydos, on the way in about your 401k and how you just care about retiring. The problem is for 20 years, all the manufacturing jobs, the 7.5 million manufacturing jobs that we've lost, those workers have the same fears and doubts, and they've lost those jobs.
And they're being lied to.
Their wages have been stagnant.
And they're being lied to that those jobs are coming back.
Neither party has done anything about it.
They're not coming back.
So I do give Trump a lot of credit in saying, you know what? I'm not taking the easy road. I'm going to take on these economic bombshells. It may be politically not popular for a little while, but we're going to go after it, and we're going to try to take on this deindustrializing that has happened to America.
Let me get Tony Cani in here because he's shaking his head.
Oh, I just thought it was. I mean, look, I don't know if it was the plan or not. It kind of doesn't matter if it was the plan or not.
Why
because
does it
damage
not
was
matter?
done with the initial announcement and the uncertainty. And, you know, I'm the Democrat on the panel here.
Right.
Like, obviously I'm going to say I thought it was a mistake, right? I'm not against tariffs in general. I'm not. But
I am.
Because Biden did them, Obama did them, right.
Yeah, I was against
the way
those
they're
too.
implemented is what I'm talking about. I mean, but you can listen to Republicans like Tom Tillis, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Rand Paul, Senator Chuck Grassley. They all expressed concerns with what it was that the way Trump rolled this out. And I think that what Trump did was he read the room, figured out that a lot of people were worried about losing generational wealth, losing their retirement, and he decided to put a pause for 90 days, just days after he didn't do it. I'm glad he put a pause on it. I am. I'm glad.
What did we gain?
But the uncertainty
What did we
will
win?
come back. What we won is that there's a temporary reprieve for people who were panicking about their retirement, who are getting ready to retire in
Okay, but a lot of people
while.
said we shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but it was
in the
an
first place.
economic emergency, and this was a requirement.
Right.
We had to do
All
it.
that stuff
All
doesn't
that
make
stuff. We
sense.
had to do it.
You
What
do.
do we get?
You do have to do it.
So what do
though.
we get?
You got leverage.
Yes.
That's
and
what
so
you got.
They came to the table. So I think this was.
Who's they?
Every other country that's been tariffing the heck out of us this whole time understands that he's willing to inflict pain on himself politically, his
And the
majority
American people.
politically.
And the American
Correct. And Main Street is ready to take the pain. And so this is the problem. So I do not believe that Scott Bessent didn't know what to expect.
No, he
could
knew.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you're setting the battle space and you're like, okay, the first thing we're going to do is go massive, go wide, and then target China, because that's where we are right now. So the people that came to the table are going to have meetings, and that's all great. The 10-year is, now we have a problem, though. I don't think that they foresaw, I do not know, the 10-year moving up. Because part of the strategy, I believe, was
To
when
get it down to
equities go down,
3.5%, yeah.
securities, people flee to safety, right? That would drive the price of the 10-year up, which would drive the yield down. But now it looks to me, someone's dumping 10 years that's causing the yield to go up even though equities are going up. Those are supposed to be an inverse correlation. I don't know if that's China trying to protect the yuan. I don't know. But he's going to triple down now, the president, and say, okay, China, you're out there. Everybody else can come to the table. The equities have gone up. Everybody should trade the VIX. I am not a professional advisor, but if you're trading
This
the
is
volatility,
not financial advice.
If you're trading the volatility index, it doesn't matter. I of course feel pain for anyone who's in retirement, but if you're in retirement and you're heavily leveraged in equities, your financial advisor isn't doing you
Or
well.
people.
I mean, one
that
of the
are
things
hedging
that people were
but-
starting to see
yeah,
as this was going down was the price of oil was dropping,
Yeah.
which you
Right.
think might be good. But
No.
the problem is it starts becoming not profitable to drill, to go and do exploration.
Correct.
And that was a looming disaster when it comes to the kinds of things that, Jay, you said
Yes,
you
the
were hoping this would
commodities.
Tony,
unleash.
I'll
Yes.
say, like, for 20 years, it's been a Democrat talking point about wealth inequality, right? And the top 1% right now, for the first time in the history of our country, owns more than the middle 60%. And that's because of what we've done with free trade and trade imbalances. It's $1 trillion a year in trade imbalances right now. So somebody had to have the fortitude and the will to say, I know it's not politically expedient right now and popular, but I'm going to take that on. And I think Trump had the will, and I'm glad he did. It's a long-term process. It's not short-term.
We've had a trade deficit for 48 straight years.
Yeah,
in
this
this
started
country.
in the 40s, really.
We've also had a 255% growth of our economy during that time.
How many times
Why
in
is
the
a
last
trade
20 years
deficit
has
a
GDP
bad thing?
How many times in the last 20 years has GDP been over 3%?
That you
Twice.
win.
Really 3 times, but COVID is one of those years.
Yeah.
In the last 40
I have a
years
trade
before-
deficit with Costco.
In the last
I
40
don't
years
care.
before that, it was 14 times in the 20 years, 14, so 28 times. That's because of the trade deficit and what we've done
But we
with
have a
free
trade deficit because we don't want to work in
But
factories and
that's the
coal mines.
question.
That's
But
the
wait, who's
problem.
we? Who's we?
Yeah.
So wait, let's define we. So
The fact that
moving
right
to a
now in
service
manufacturing,
economy,
there are
correct,
40% of the jobs go
open,
unfilled.
Are open because we have trained everybody for the service economy, which is starting to evaporate.
But there's
I'm
like
just,
7
if you're
million
looking at
men
AI,
18 to 50 or 20 working
correct.
age who don't want these
I mean,
jobs.
we
Well,
just,
look,
look, if we get these manufacturing jobs to come back to America, that's great. But then these jobs need to be protected. They need to
Correct.
be protected. And Trump has dismantled the National Labor Board. And that is a huge problem. These companies, you're going to
Yes.
see, they
I
don't
agree,
have
Tony.
a problem cutting jobs when they can, especially with automation
But
coming
the
down the track.
secretary in the
So if-
Department of Labor is very pro-labor, so perhaps
That's right.
they can
and,
help.
and there was
Yes.
there's a lot of
Yes.
Republicans that campaigned this last cycle talking
Yes.
about the importance of labor. So that's an important thing to bring up.
We're inside the war room. That's Tony Cani. We've got the Arizona GOP chair, Gina Swoboda, here. We've got Jay Feely. We're inside the war room. Wasn't there a better way to do any of this?
I don't think so.
It was so fast, so quick, so soon, all at once.
I think that was the
and
point.
So now,
tell me how you
chaos.
do it.
He could have done it to one country, two countries.
Right, that's what I thought.
He could have done it to three industries.
No, because
I
he
think
wanted
he
to do
tried
it
that in
China.
the first term, and then China doesn't react to that.
Okay,
right?
but let's look
Well,
at what
China hasn't reacted to this.
What do we have
Oh,
now?
they will, though. I mean...
Consumer confidence is blown. People aren't spending money. We have the stock market in ruins before today. We've got...
Well, the fact that people think this could all change tomorrow with a tweet.
The Federal Reserve needs to cut. Powell has said he's not going to cut.
Right.
The rates are now skyrocketing out of control. My theory, again, is that China's dumping the 10-year to protect the yuan. So it's the basis trade is a mess, and that is absolutely the Federal Reserve's fault. The 10-year coming down allows us to refi all that debt that's rolling over and would help hopefully unlock the housing market. But I don't know if it was expected that there would be this dumping of the 10-year, because the 10-year should be going down.
How does starting a trade war get rid of our debt?
So
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. Well,
Our
we refi.
$36 trillion debt.
So we need to. The first problem that we're facing
It's
is
not just one answer. It's cumulative.
Yeah.
First of all.
And all of these things have to work together.
That's right.
But you have to refi. All this debt is rolling over, and the interest on the debt is exceeding everything that we're creating with the GDP. So the only way is to lower the 10-year. And normally, the 10-year would have gone down when people bought securities when equities tanked. That's not happening. So
Or
now
lower
the
spending.
Are we going to talk about the Republican budget going through the House?
Right.
It's going to triple.
That's gonna go up.
That's the other thing is the Senate is
Right.
not
I mean,
on
that's the
board
part
with the
that doesn't
House.
make
You have to
sense.
cut
Yes.
spending. And that's
Yes.
what
You
have to cut
They
spending.
have to
Tripled
work
it up,
together.
but we-
or it's
what
What
gonna
you're
Doge
fail.
is
saying-
trying to do
one at a time.
Yeah, and what Doge is trying to do, and when you're sitting there and you're trying to get rid of waste and fraud and cut spending, you have to do that because we do have $36 trillion in debt, and it's untenable. You cannot continue down that road. You'll have economic collapse.
That's not what the budget does, though, right? I mean, specifically, it's not what the budget does.
Well, they did
But I understand your point. The point is, we're hearing everything needs to work together. What about income inequality? Here's the thing. These two different things are not working together when it comes to the budget and what they're talking about. They are not a cohesive point. And when it comes to income inequality, I think that the bigger worry here isn't that these billionaires are going to be losing money. It's that they're going to start laying people off, and people who are in retirement, they're not in the 1%.
No.
The people who are going to be on a fixed income, because one of the reasons why Social Security exists is so that this type of volatility is not impacting people's retirements. But so many of people are in retirement are using their 401ks, and it's just terrifying. My parents are scared.
Sure.
The big, beautiful bill has to get passed with the spending cuts that are more like what the House passed than what the Senate passed, which is nowhere near where we need to be. And it has to include the no tax on Social Security. Right? It has to. If it doesn't, we're not going to be able to protect Main Street from the pain and the dislocation that Tony's experiencing, describing people experiencing.
All right. The War Room, segment 1 in the books. Gina Swoboda, we've got Jay Feely, we've got Tony Cani coming up next. Let's talk about, we had 3 Trump, I don't know what you call them.
Cabinet officials?
Cabinet officials
in town.
Cabinet members?
Thank you. In town. Let's talk about all 3 visiting Phoenix. And specifically, should the deportation process run more like Amazon Prime?
Yes. Yes, but not just deportation, the work visas.
Hold that thought, because that
Can't wait.
is coming up next.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen 1 too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, cause you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KTAR News Flash.
It's 5:17. I'm Becky Lynn. Here's what you need to know right now. A major stock market rally today after the president's decision to reduce new tariffs to 10% worldwide for 90 days and to increase them to 125% on Chinese imports. Here's Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Beijing announced a new round of retaliation to Trump's tariffs on them. Now, President Trump says a deal with China is still possible. He says he's willing to talk to President Xi, but the Chinese say they will, quote, fight to the end.
All of our top stories just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app. Let's check the road home now. Here's John Roller live in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Becky Lynn, we have some slowing up in the Northeast Valley, all due to a crash eastbound Loop 101, the Pima Freeway. This crash right near Cave Creek, and you've got slowing all the way back to 7th Street as you come eastbound on the 101. Also have a crash northbound I-17 right at the Bell Road off-ramp, eastbound I-10. Had that earlier crash right near 35th Avenue, that in the clearing stages, and another crash 59th Avenue south of the Loop 101. Our freeway in the North Valley, and 23rd Avenue and Bethany Home Road. We've got a crash there as well. Traffic is brought to you by the Arizona Painting Company. The Arizona Painting Company, the #1 painting company in Arizona. They do it all, residential and commercial, inside and out. John Roller, KTAR News. Back to the War Room with Bruce and Gaydos.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
And we're joined by Arizona GOP Chair Gina Swoboda. We have former Arizona Cardinals kicker Jay Feely and Democratic strategist Tony Cani all in the War Room today. All right, yesterday, right here in the Valley, three Trump officials visiting Phoenix. Border Czar Tom Homan, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and RFK Jr., HHS Secretary. Got that part right. Let's start with the Border Czar, Tom Homan. He spoke before a joint session of the Arizona legislature.
And some of the things that were talked about, obviously, deportations. How is the border doing? Border to me looks a lot better. Here's a quote from the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons. He explained why he wanted to see the deportation process, quote, like Amazon Prime, but with human beings. Is that the way to go? Do we go Amazon Prime, but with human beings? We do it fast, we do it quick, we move on. Is that how we're going to do deportations? Because I think deportations, unfortunately, hey, there's some bad people here. I want to get them out of this country.
No argument.
But there is something called due process. And at times, this
the Constitution, the law that people claim to love,
has not gone through with that at times. Let's start with Gina. What do you think?
So I think the volume that we're talking about and the process that they're putting in place needs to parallel the entry process that was provided by Biden, but you need to layer, as the Supreme Court has told us, there needs to be a layer of due process at some point. So what you can't do is try to undo what the effects were of the open border by giving everybody, 14 months before you see an immigration judge, because then they don't report. That's what happened on the way in. So there has to be a faster process where, and I think the incentive is for the self-deportation, and they just announced they're restoring the fines. So if you are picked up, and right now they're targeting criminals, okay, that beyond having crossed into the border unlawfully, that have committed violent crime, that there are detainers on them that haven't been honored by a jurisdiction. So if you're there, we already have a criminal charge or a conviction on you, and we need to deport you. It's against the law to commit a crime while you're in the country if you're a citizen or you're not a citizen, but we need to add on the layer now of where do you get adjudicated? You have to be adjudicated at some point. But in addition to that, when we were talking on the lead out or the tease in, I'm terrible with the vocabulary. I'm learning. I have a concern, and our people have a concern about that. We need a fast pass process for work visas for people 100%. Who are here lawfully. Why can't I get a fast pass to Disneyland?
We need a lot of workers.
We have canal companies and farmers and ranchers, and we need the workers. And so now we're in danger of people being too afraid. Which will lead to the decimation of our ag industry and our water industry and everything else.
Construction.
So, we need
because
to
if you don't self-deport, then it says on there that you're not allowed to come back ever.
So if we could have an H-2B visa program for people that are lawfully entering, and the employer could be responsible for that person and have a fast pass in and out, so we're not killing the economy and good people that are here for work in the process of adjudicating these folks that are signing up, hopefully, to self-deport.
I mean, the due process bit is so important because, and obviously the two people I'm sitting with here aren't saying this, but there are people out there who are basically saying there should be zero due process whatsoever.
Well, there's people that believe that you don't have any rights.
Or people are going
which
as
is
far
wrong.
as talking
It's
about
factually incorrect.
denaturalization, about taking citizenship away from people. And if there isn't a due process for that, that is terrifying. And I do think that when it comes to workers that are coming, that will come over to this country, I'm first generation. My dad immigrated here from Italy. Like, I think that they're coming for work.
Yeah.
But if they're afraid that some way too aggressive person might just snatch them up and deport them without due process, that is very, very, very problematic. Aside from, the constitution of it all, it's just not, it's just terrible.
Due process is what separates us from all the other countries.
Yes.
So I want to get rid of people absolutely as fast as possible who are committing crimes here in the United States.
100%.
I don't think anyone's arguing that, but they've got to go through a court process.
But you can't just do that because one person says you're a criminal.
Well, I would just say it's good that we're having an honest, rational conversation here, because the immigration conversation isn't rational. It's emotional. And, you go back to the Biden administration with President Biden and Vice President Harris. They both said to the American people, and Democrats parroted that line, that there was nothing they could do without passing a law. And that was not true, because President Trump has fixed the border in 3 months. They could have used executive order. They chose not to use executive order. The problems that we have and all the illegal immigrants that came in are a direct result of their choices.
And the next president can, with a flash of a pen, undo all of it.
Thankfully, President Trump took measures to end that and to secure our border.
To be clear, not saying to end there being a next president. I don't think that's what Jay meant.
I don't think that's what Jay meant. That's right. That's not what I was saying. But, this is personal to me. Like, one of the young men that we have living with us right now is one of those people who he's on TPS, and they say, you know what, he has to leave on August 3rd. I talked to his employers. They're like, gosh, he's the greatest worker. We love him. What can we do?
The type of person we would want in this country.
I got on a call yesterday with a lawyer to say, like, what are his options? What are his choices? What things can he do? How can he get that work visa, which is really hard right now, and it's not an easy process. So it's a good conversation, because this is rational and we're talking about it. It needs to be addressed, but there's things on both sides that we need to look at and do.
There's one bit that I think is missing from this, which is the conversation about drugs coming over across the border. One of the things that's happening because of DOJ is that we're short on DES people in Arizona right now. There are jobs that need to be filled that are being held up because of some of the other things that are going on. The issue with the border isn't just about people coming over for work. It's also about the drug trade.
Sure.
And there have been, and I think that's one of the consequences of not having a complete plan when this stuff's been put together.
And that's one of the things that Trump wanted to do with tariffs, is try to force Mexico and Canada to do a better job in not allowing those drugs to go
Only
over.
there wasn't so much demand for drugs.
That's Jay Feely. We've got Tony Cani. Gina Swoboda is here. We're inside the War Room. Second half of the War Room is coming up. We're going to talk about what kind of political damage Trump has done to himself the past 7 days. Is it huge? Is it something that he can't get past? We're going to talk about it on the War Room next.
The KTAR News app is your connection to Arizona's news station for breaking news as it happens, live traffic updates, podcasts, and live streaming KTAR shows. The KTAR News app is presented by Rias Plumbing and Air Conditioning.
Hey, you know what? Peoria Ford is the place if you're looking for a new or used vehicle. I mean, come on. Over 1,000 vehicles on the lot right now as we speak. It doesn't matter what color you're looking for in an F-150. They got it. It doesn't matter what trim level you're looking for in the Mustang. They got it. It's amazing. I got to tell you, every time I go down to Peoria, Florida, walk around with Pat Hickey, I fall in love with a different car. It's a little dangerous. I'm not going to lie about it, okay? But they've got some amazing deals going on right now, including they've got employee pricing going on. Ford is motivated to move these cars off the lot. There may never have been a better time, at least not this year, in buying a new vehicle. What are you waiting for? Head over to Peoria Ford right now. They're easy to find. You can get to them easily anywhere in the valley. They are just west of the 101 on Bell Road, or you can check it out online. Let your fingers do the walking. Go to PeoriaFord.com. Remember, you buy a Ford anywhere other than Peoria Ford, and you pay too much.
This is an important announcement to anyone facing $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state. Struggling taxpayers can now take advantage of special tax relief programs that could resolve your tax problem, stop collections, and significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Get the relief you need today during these hard economic times. Call Community Taxes Relief Hotline now at 800-908-4758. That's 800-908-4758.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, could be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Go to carsforkids.org today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, it's Mike Broomhead. You've heard me sing the praises of Bulldog security screens for a long time now, because these screens will protect your home like a fortress. Not even those crazy South American burglary rings can break through these beautiful looking shade screens. Now, trust me, these screens are the real deal. You can leave your home with your doors and windows wide open, go out to dinner, even out of town, with a guarantee that no one will break through your Bulldog security screens. Whether you're a high-profile athlete, a national celebrity, or an average homeowner like you and me, stay safe and protected with Bulldog security screens. They are truly the best. Been talking about them for a long time. I tried to break through them myself and wasn't able to. The only thing that broke was the baseball bat that I used to try to break in. You're going to love this product. Get all the details. Schedule online at BulldogSecurityScreens.com. That's BulldogSecurityScreens.com. Insist on the Bulldog, because Bulldog security screens, they're tough.
Hey, it's Jess, co-founder of Bodify, your fat elimination experts. Ever felt like Cool Sculpting was just too pricey to pursue? Well, listen up. The game has changed. Cool Sculpting radically changed their pricing model, and we get to pass 100% of those savings directly to you. Believe me, this is huge. Trust the experts who have done 42,000 treatments and guarantee results. Book your free Cool Sculpting Discovery appointment today. Go to freezemeaz.com. That's freezemeaz.com.
You know, I still have my first car, a classic 66 Mustang, and what was is parked right next to what's next, a new Explorer we recently bought from our Desert Ford dealers. Yep, Paul Calvise here. Hey, Ford isn't just part of our family. My grandfather worked for Ford Motor, but it's part of America, our heritage. Yet Ford is also the future. Whether it's family time or four-wheeling time, tailgating or towing, Ford has a powertrain option that fits what you're looking for. Gas, hybrid, electric. You know what else our Desert Ford dealers have? The best-selling line of trucks for 48 years running. That Ford F-Series with the all-new 2025 F-150, designed to be the toughest and most productive ever. And then there's a 2025 Ford Mustang Mach-E, 100% electric, 100% SUV with sports car performance. SUV, my daily driver, a Ford Edge. And again, we just bought a new Explorer. Wait till you see the redesigned interior on the all-new 2025 Explorer. Bottom line, get on down to our Desert Ford dealers or click buyfordnow.com.
KTAR News now.
It's 5:31. Good afternoon. I'm Becky Lynn. KTAR Eyes on the Economy. A local business leader believes the 90-day pause on tariffs will allow other countries time to negotiate with President Trump. President of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, Danny Seiden, tells KTAR 125% tariff remains on China, and that's Arizona's third largest trading partner.
Which gives us the opportunity to kind of strengthen our alliances with other countries in Southeast Asia. Think Taiwan, think South Korea, think Vietnam, which again gives us options to work around China.
Seiden adds China could also win over those Southeast Asian countries, and that would be bad for the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wrapped up a trip to Panama today, signing agreements with Panama concerning the security and operation of the Panama Canal that allows U.S. warships free and full first entry into the canal and increases military cooperation between the U.S. and Panama. The agreement comes after weeks of President Trump vowing to take over the canal. Hegseth, at an afternoon news conference today in Panama, talked about the new military relationship.
This memorandum of understanding will increase joint training,
exercises, operations, and overall interoperability between our two forces.
Measles cases across the country continue rising. Indiana announcing one case recorded earlier this week has now increased to 6 measles cases. The biggest outbreak in West Texas. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says despite the rise, he believes they're getting a handle on the outbreak in that state.
Indiana health officials confirmed 4 children and 2 adults have measles, up from 1 case earlier this week. Health officials say all 4 children are unvaccinated, and the adults' vaccination status isn't clear. So far, health officials say there's no known link to outbreaks in Texas and other states. Nationwide, there are more than 600 confirmed cases. 505 cases are in Texas. On Tuesday, health officials in Texas announced they recorded 24 more measles cases since last Friday. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
A terrible case of animal abuse. Maricopa County Sheriff's deputies arresting a 38-year-old Gila Bend man who's facing animal abuse charges for allegedly neglecting 11 adult dogs and 7 puppies. MCSO's Joaquin Enriquez says a concerned citizen alerted the Animal Crimes Unit this past weekend. And Enriquez says animal crimes detectives could not enter the property because of the deplorable conditions.
We were told they have lots of diseases, worms, parvo. The conditions are terrible, but our MASH unit, this is what they do. They're excellent at it, and they're going to bring these dogs back to health.
The dogs were confined to outdoor kennels with no food, water, or clean shelter. 38-year-old John Jackson's under arrest, facing charges of felony cruel mistreatment. Time now to check on those roads. Let's go to John Roller in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right, thank you very much. Becky Lynn got a crash in the clearing stages right at the split. This involving a couple of big rigs, and it's off in the Gore Point there. So a little bit of slowing as folks try to make their way either to the westbound I-10 or northbound I-17 there at the split. That earlier crash eastbound I-10 near 35th Avenue, that is cleared away. So all lanes are back open and coming into downtown. Not looking too bad. You'll bunch up a little bit as you transition to the northbound I-17 right at the stack. 36th Street and Cactus, you've got a crash there and another crash involving a pedestrian, Central Avenue and Osborne. John Roller, KTAR News.
We're looking for some slightly warmer temperatures to end our week. Tonight's low 67, tomorrow 100, 102 on Friday, and 101 on Saturday. In Chandler right now, 93 degrees. Weather brought to you by Howard Air and Plumbing. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air and Plumbing. I'm Becky Lynn on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
All right, second half of the War Room. Thanks for joining us every Wednesday, 5 till 6. We do the War Room. All right, on the panel, we got Arizona GOP Chair Gina Swoboda. We've got former Arizona Cardinals kicker Jay Feely, and we've got Democratic strategist Tony Cani. So, U.S. stocks, they rocketed high today, 3,000 points in the Dow. Trump authorized a 90-day pause on certain tariffs to most countries. The president today saying this.
I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
All right, we got the White House press secretary.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
Okay, she's saying what happened today was planned. I want to play something from Chuck Todd, former NBC.
But she just contradicted Trump. He didn't say it was planned. He said people were getting yippy.
Used to do Meet the Press. You settle down over there, Bruce. Let me get through my audio here. This is what Chuck Todd said.
Oh. This is where he has signed a political death sentence, and the question is just when does it come to fruition? It's coming. It's just when.
All right. How much political damage has Trump done to himself over the past few days since Liberation Day?
Well, he's been elected twice now as president of the United States. He's been the foremost politician in the last 20 years. So I don't know how he could have a political death sentence. And I don't think he gives one rip about what people think about him. I don't think he does at all. I think he believes in this.
Him, though, Jay. He likes people.
No,
who like
I don't think so.
He's not running again. He doesn't care.
He's not running again, and I think honestly,
I don't think he cares. Yeah, and I don't think it's a death sentence.
If he cared, he would have taken the easy route. And they set out to go down this hard road. And it's a long road. It's not short. He's not going to be liked. There's going to be people who are upset. the stock market, because of uncertainty, is going to go up and down. That's fine. It's amazing because so many people said all he cares about are the wealthiest of the wealthy. All he cares about is the stock market. For 10, 15 years, that's what we've heard about Donald Trump. And now he's doing things that they know will impact the stock market negatively because they believe that they have to do this to save our economy. And I will just say, it is the essence of who Donald Trump is. It goes back to when he was 30, 35 years old. He's been talking about this his entire life. This is at the core of what he believes is wrong with our country.
I believe you when he said it. He's 100% wrong, but I believe
that's
it.
Fine, but I'm just saying, this is who he is. It's what he ran on. It's why he got elected twice.
He still believes other countries pay tariffs. I believe it.
Our manufacturing problem and bring those jobs back into this country.
Gina, you're nodding. This is Jay's right, in your opinion.
I believe that, yes, the president has always felt this way. He's been talking about how this country is getting ripped off and how we're run by stupid people. We are still, although has shrunk rapidly, we are still the largest market in the world of consumers. And that we're losing the opportunity to use that to try to restore some stability to the middle class, the people that did get left behind, because there was a trade-off. We touched on it earlier about moving to the service economy, and we talked about how the GDP has grown, but the cost for that was the loss of a ton of jobs and a ton of towns dying, and the working class, in my opinion, as like a working class person, doesn't care. Like
what do you mean? What do you mean? You say about what?
I don't think they care about equities tanking. I think they're
not at all.
Feel the pain, bring it. We've been let the bodies hit the floor. We've been going through this, and we're ready to take the pain. And those are the people that the president.
Well, they don't think the pain's going to affect them. They don't think it's going to affect them.
Yes,
it's going to be a rude awakening.
Yeah, this isn't only about the equities, right? Like I know you keep saying it's not only about the equities. There's a bigger thing here. I do think there's political damage to people that are around Trump. People who, one of the things we've learned in Arizona especially is it's hard to pretend that you're Trump if you're not Trump. And so there's some people who might be taking the exact line that he's doing, and voters might not think that they are being rational, or they might not think that, you know, like one thing about this is all Trump. I think people, some of these senators on the Republican side, some of the members of Congress have come out and said, hey, maybe we need to slow this thing down.
The ones getting cold feet.
And it's because they're hearing it from
their constituents.
They care about getting reelected.
Because the middle class,
sure.
Yeah,
that's what they care about.
That's democracy, right? Like, yeah. But, the middle class has other pressures that it's going to come from this. If there wasn't this pause, we would be in a real mess. And
okay, where would we be if the pause didn't happen today? Well, the stock market wouldn't have been up 3,000.
Oh, heck, it would have been down again.
The stock market would have been crushed for the rest of the week. And I was wondering, how low can it go? Is it going to go 35,000? I have no idea.
I mean, layoffs. People will start, and that's already probably going to happen. And then, people losing their jobs. It's really, really hard to talk about transitioning an economy when people are maybe losing their job.
But how ironic that President Trump is talking about the same thing that Bernie Sanders and AOC have been talking about. It is the exact same issue. It's different remedies. They believe it's tax the rich and create more programs for the poorest of the poor, and that'll fix it. It won't fix the problem. And President Trump believes, hey, we got to bring manufacturing jobs back into this country. When you have manufacturing, you have innovation, because innovation coincides with manufacturing. And that will fix the problem that we have.
Do those
At least I'm consistent. I think both of them are crazy. I think both.
Well, what's your answer then for $36 trillion in debt and $23 trillion?
Stop spending money.
And who's done that?
But there's no political will. Look at what's happening in the
Senate. So we're gonna let Congress. We're gonna let Congress just get off the hook?
No, not at all.
The Congress of the United States has voted for every penny of the debt and deficit. 100%.
So somebody had to have the political fortitude to say, I'm going to stop
I don't want a king.
And he's doing it.
Yeah, not interested in a king.
We crushed this economy during COVID intentionally, willfully, under the concerns, okay? So let's presume, give the benefit of the doubt to everyone who did that they really thought this was catastrophic. There was a willingness to close down and kill tens of thousands of small businesses, and people didn't have jobs. So if in the attempt to rejigger this economy in a way that benefits Main Street, there's pain.
We're going to kill some more jobs.
I think some people are ready to take it.
We're going to leave it at that. We have one more segment of the War Room, Bruce.
That we do. Tell you what. Let's see.
We're going to talk about Well, first of all, I'm going to ask Philly if he's running for big seat.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I'm going to. And
Yes. And then
Ask
the
everybody about
follow-up.
elections?
Yeah, well, hold on. We got
I'm
another
not running
one.
for any office.
Is the wrong Republican ahead in the race for governor in the state of Arizona? We'll dig into it next. It's the War Room on KTAR.
All right, let's talk about Red Mountain weight loss and how you can get your weight down, how you can do it quickly, how you can do it efficiently, and how you can do it with, well, let's talk about GLP-1 medications like semaglutide. I want you to call Red Mountain Weight Loss. Tell them Gaydos sent you, and I'll save you some money. Limited time, you get $200 off your GLP-1 meds. This all happens at Red Mountain Weight Loss, where you'll go in, you'll talk to real doctors. They'll show you how to get real results, and you save a couple $100 because you mentioned me. You think about the warm weather that's coming, right? Clothes, you want them to fit again. You're going to be, feeling better about yourself. No shortages on GLP-1s, all in stock today over at Red Mountain, and you can lose 15 pounds in the first month, right? 15 pounds in the first month. It is a very simple thing. You visit redmountainweightloss.com. You ask about the offer of $200 off your GLP-1 meds when you mention Gaydos, and sit down with the real doctors and talk about real results at Red Mountain Weight Loss.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-902-5454. 800-902-5454.
With Progressive's collision coverage, my family gets up to $1,000 for vet bills if I'm injured in a car accident. And that makes this Chihuahua really feel like part of the family. What's that? I don't sound like a Chihuahua? Oh, I'm sorry. What exactly am I supposed to sound like? I guess all Chihuahuas are high-strung, riding around in expensive designer purses. Actually, I prefer riding in cars. So I appreciate that my family protects me with Progressive's pet collision coverage. Okay, maybe I am a little high-strung. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and is subject to policy terms.
Hey, Tone, can we talk?
What now, Calm? Can't you see I'm trying to eat here?
Those guys you hired to paint the house last year? The paint's chipping so bad, there's more paint on the lawn than on the house. I'm embarrassed to have friends over. And people are talking, Tony.
Those guys owed me a favor. It was cheap.
Cheap is what the house looks like. I want Rhino Shield to come and coat the house. Capiche?
It's just spend with you. I work hard, you know?
Listen, I did the research. Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty, so we'll never have to talk about this again. I already called them, Tone, and I got an estimate. It's cheaper than having those so-called painters of yours come out every few years and do whatever it is they do.
All right. Can I just eat in peace, please?
Need your home painted again? Call Rhino Shield now, and you can just forget about it. Visit rhinoshieldaz.com. That's rhinoshieldaz.com, and you'll never have to paint your home again.
KTAR News Flash.
It's 5:45. I'm Becky Lynn, and here's what you need to know right now. At least 18 dogs have been rescued from a Gila Bend home, and the homeowner arrested on animal abuse charges, according to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. MCSO says deputies found the animals in neglectful conditions. They also found 3 dogs dead in the home Saturday. Since then, they say the homeowner's been evading officers. He was arrested on animal abuse charges earlier today, and the dogs have all been sent to the MCSO Animal Safe Haven for veterinary care. All of our top stories are just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app. Time to check the road home once again. John Roller in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right. Thank you very much, Becky Lynn. We've got a crash involving a motorcycle, Tatum and Thunderbird. Also look for a collision at 36th Street and Cactus. Another crash involving a pedestrian this afternoon, Central Avenue and Osborne, and a crash at Cave Creek and the Loop 101 Agua Fria Freeway. Traffic is brought to you by YRefi. Don't let private student loan debt ruin your life. Go to YRefi.com. That's YREFY.com. John Roller, KTAR News.
Hey, I'm here to talk to you about Life Changer Loan. It's literally the last piece of financing you'll ever need for anything. I mean, we're talking to people that got good credit, all right? And if you do have good credit, then why are you financing your home the same way people with poor credit do? Let's be honest, a traditional 30-year fixed is not created because the bank trusts you, as that's a nice way to put it. They stretch payments out over 30 years. You pay all the interest up front to them. You have no access to your equity, etc. Shouldn't your mortgage match your credit and how well you've managed to handle your finances? That's exactly what happens at a Life Changer Loan. It puts you in control, and it doesn't involve some sort of crazy balloon large mortgage payment. You could still pay that house off in less than 10 years. You know, the average person pays it off in less than 5. You can learn more by going to lifechangerloan.com. That's lifechangerloan.com. Bring your skepticism, and you'll find out why they say it's not magic, it's just math.
We're chatting with our guest, always safety first, 811 Megaphone Man.
Call 811 before you dig.
You never stray from your mission of letting homeowners, landscapers, and excavators know you should always call 811 before you dig.
Call 811.
Call for both small and big jobs. And 2 working days in advance?
811.
Any parting words? And I'm guessing they will be...
Call 811 before you dig.
Brought to you by Southwest Gas.
811.
Northern Arizona University is a school and experience like no other. It's an affordable, accessible education outfitted with high-quality programs and dedicated faculty. It's a community that's welcoming, caring, and thriving. As you enjoy the life of a lumberjack in Arizona's best college town, you'll make an impact every day on your community and your future. That's NAU. Learn more and apply today at nau.edu/enroll.
Now, back to the War Room. Insight and analysis about the biggest political stories in AZ and DC.
We are back inside the War Room. Gina Swoboda, Jay Feely, Tony Cani. The good of the great of the Valley joining us here in the studio.
Give me a minute with Feely. All right, so are you going to run for Andy Biggs' spot?
Whoa.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. We're praying about it. My wife and I are. We went out to D.C. and met with everybody because it's a big decision to decide to, if I did, to give up on my job with CBS, which is a great job. I love doing it. I get to do NFL games and sit down with head coaches and the quarterbacks and the defensive coordinators and ask them every question that every fan wants to know.
Right.
And then I don't have to work for 6 months. You know, I get to be home and work on our businesses and our foundation.
But you're intrigued by it.
I'm intrigued because I think we need more people to get into political office that aren't getting in it for their own personal gain. They truly want to serve and that aren't going to do it as a career. I don't believe political office should be a career.
Yeah.
It should be a service to the people that you're representing.
Did Trump ask you to run?
He did a couple years ago. So they've been talking to me about it for 2 or 3 years. And a couple years ago wasn't the right time. I had 2 kids at home. We're going to have one next year, but we'll be empty nesters after that. So that's why my wife and I are thinking about it.
You get into office, your number one issue is what?
It would be the economy. It would be security. You know, I think you have to have security at home to make sure that you feel comfortable to go out to do all the things you want to do. So border was a huge issue. That's why Trump got elected. The economy always is the next issue because people want to be able, they want to trust that they can provide for their family. And for me, I have a heart. I want to serve and I want to make our state better. I want to make every team I played for, my wife and I always had the same mentality. And that was, I'm going to use this opportunity, this platform to try to have an impact on people's lives. You know, and that's what I thought. That's how I viewed football. That's how I view political office.
Are you concerned that you could join a legislative body that literally isn't getting anything done?
Yeah, but you need fighters. You need people who aren't scared. That people won't like what they say. That they're going to have a negative opinion about you. Well, guess what? I was a kicker. Everybody hated me when I missed every kick. You know, and then I was a broadcaster.
Missed one kick.
You look on Twitter and everybody hates every broadcaster.
You miss one kick. And look what they do.
I'm done with Feely. Let me go over to Swoboda over here. I'm going to grill her for a second.
All right.
Okay. So Andy Biggs is up by like, I don't know, he's got like 80% in this column.
It's one poll. I'll grade you.
It's one poll. Is the wrong Republican ahead? Because shouldn't it be Karen Taylor Robeson? Isn't this her time?
So despite what Mr. Colladin may have told you, it is against the bylaws of the AZ/GOP to endorse in a primary.
Well, I thought you endorsed him.
No, in fact,
okay.
I did not.
Just double check.
I will endorse every Republican nominee once they become the nominee. While I I would not opine on who's better. I would say that this cycle, in my estimation, is going to be really tough. We talked about the economy. If everything doesn't work together so that the tax cuts go through and people are easy in the pocketbook, my low propensity voters are not likely to come out. So if you're looking at a 340,000 voter registration advantage, you shouldn't be looking at that because that's not at all what turnout will be in a midterm.
In a midterm, where it's much lower, obviously.
And I don't have Trump on the ticket. So I have a whole series of voters that aren't coming. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be a slog. And I hope and pray that our primary voters give us the strongest candidate that can win a general.
Governor Katie Hobbs on this show, I asked her about Karen Taylor Robson. Let's take a listen to that. You guys have your headphones on. Here we go. Governor Hobbs, Karen Taylor Robson is going to be running against you. She's one of your opponents. It was a week or so ago. She was over at Mar-a-Lago. Is she a Republican or is she MAGA?
You know what? I really have no commentary. She can define herself. The voters can decide for themselves.
What do you think she is, though? Is she a Trump, like a Trump follower now, or is she still kind of a Republican?
She's a billionaire corporate developer and longtime lobbyist who spent $20 million of her own money to lose to Carrie Lake.
That's me laughing.
Well, there you have it. Okay, so I didn't like her first answer. She didn't want to answer the question.
No. Shocker.
Yeah.
She didn't want to debate Carrie Lake. She doesn't want to answer any questions.
Well, she got to it at the end. She threw a punch there at the end.
I agree. She finally gave an opinion.
I wanted a punch thrown. I did. Listen, I'm sitting here. I want to know what she thinks of her possible opponent. And to say, I don't really have an opinion.
Doesn't every voter want to think what the truth thoughts of every politician? Yes, of every politician. Yeah. They want to know what you believe, and you should be able to stand up there and just say, hey, this is what I believe. If you don't like it, then don't vote for me.
Fair.
That's okay, right. But here's who I am. This is what I believe.
Right.
I think it's a great line by the governor, by the way. And it's true. Has the benefit of being true. Karen, she's a career-long lobbyist.
We'll see how that turns out. Thank you guys all very much for being inside the war room again.
Tony, we were gentle to each other.
Jay Feely, Tony, Cani, Gina Swoboda, thank you guys all for being in here. We have a quick check of the headlines on the way. Becky Lynn is on top of that. We come back on the other side of it. He took his family out of the house instead of heading home and went straight to the police department. What are we talking about? It's coming up next. We're Outspoken on KTAR.
Hey, there's a lot of reasons why over the past 20 years I've hired the Arizona Painting Company many times. One of the reasons is they're Arizona's #1 painting company, and they painted the outside of my home last year. This year, they're going to paint the inside of my home. Another reason I use them, they have a great program, and it's called Paint It Forward, and I've been a part of it for the last 20 years. Basically, they take